And of course, we saw today the border was closed on the Gold Coast, at the Tweed border between Queensland and New South Wales. If we go to the front page of the Gold Coast Bulletin, there it is. You can see the Tweed bump, and of course there were suggestions of up to 2 hours waits for people who are trying to head north this morning. In fact, many people who work in who are from northern New South Wales, who work on the Gold Coast, were subjected to these long lines. But take care, please, is the headline. Top doctors, stark warning as health authorities roll out respiratory clinics. Temporary respiratory clinics will be set up across the Gold Coast as hospitals brace for 27,000 coronavirus sufferers to receive treatment in the next 6 months. Of those, authorities are preparing for about 8,000 to need intensive care. At least 140,000 Gold Coasters are expected to be infected. Now, Mibengé, that is a stark, confronting front page in many respects, and I think you'll find that a lot of Gold Coasters will wake up tomorrow morning and go, geez, this is just getting worse.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can understand the frustration with, a 2-hour wait in traffic. But at the same time, as you mentioned, a lot of these people work across the border, but there's still also people who are simply ignoring the rules and, trying to cross borders and still moving about, ignoring quarantine rules. So I think that this is necessary, and it's just a reminder of how serious the situation is, and people need to respect what's happening and, take precaution. I also think that those numbers are very staggering. The fact that we're almost at 3,000 and that we're anticipating more than 20,000 in 6 months, I mean, that's alarming. And again, it's just a reminder that our health system needs a major overhaul. We're just not equipped to deal with this level of pandemic, and it's quite frightening. I think that once this has subsided, I think that our political leaders need to really invest in our healthcare system and improve it to save lives.
Same front page, Matt has got here a story about Clive Palmer. Clive takes up fight. Billionaire Clive Palmer has mobilised a $50 million secret overseas mission to source 26 million tablets to help fight coronavirus as a global race for the drug hits fever pitch. Health Minister Greg Hunt confirmed that Mr Palmer's generous offer to buy malaria drug, I can't pronounce that, had been accepted and would complement the Morrison government's multifaceted plan to try to beat the pandemic. When Mr Palmer was asked why, he said, "Australia's been good to me. I'm sure you would help your neighbours if they were in trouble." Clive, he's put his hand in his kick, mate.
Yeah, look, I'm not sure how to feel about this, Gleeso. I mean, anyone who's tipping in, I saw Clive, he was right up there on the rich list that was published in The Australian on the weekend, and, if we've got other billionaires out there who've got some spare change, they want to kick into this cause, I think it's great. But there's something about this whole thing with Clive Palmer doesn't sit quite right with me. I wonder how you'd feel if you're one of the workers from his Townsville nickel refinery who was out of a job, who wasn't paid their entitlements, who now, is probably gone since then and found another job and now might find themselves unemployed again. I wonder how they'd be feeling reading these stories about Clive Palmer tipping in $50 million to try and, get a drug like this, and probably trying to get himself a bit of good publicity, along the way. I think if Clive Palmer's got too much money in his pocket and he wants to do something with it, he should do the right thing, by those workers who lost their jobs there a few years ago.